way to start. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me find a song of the week real quick. Guys. Guys, this is so real right now. This is so real. Okay, I gotta mute this. I can see like the audio in the background, like it going up, and I'm not like a fan of that. So I'm gonna minimize that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I gotta put a song of the week. Okay, I'm just gonna add it to the playlist now. You get to see a little Life of the Germ prequel. Guys, I haven't been nervous for an episode like this in like a long time. This is wild. Okay. First things first. I'm gonna take these glasses off. I can't really see now, but that's okay. Cause I didn't want there to be like a ton of glare when I did this, but essentially like I'm recording video right now. Like we're just going for it. I think when I upload this to Spotify, I probably won't have video. I'm just gonna leave it out. But if I can figure out how to get this thing on YouTube, I will definitely send a link. And it's going to be very weird for you guys like watching a video and seeing this, but I think it'll be fun. Like I've wanted to do this for months, and tonight I think honestly I've just been putting it off. Like I think for some reason I think like throwing this camera into the mix was gonna kind of like sort of lessen my focus during the episode, and it might, right? It might, but I'm just gonna, at least for this one, I'm just gonna rip it and just see what happens, and maybe I can't even figure out how to get the video up, but basically what I have right now is like the most ratchet setup known to man. Like I have basically my monitor, because I have a standing desk, so my monitor is like up on this empty Nike shoebox, and I have it on the shoebox, and the camera's like partially resting on the monitor, partially on the shoebox. And I got my Blue Yeti here. This is the one I always record with. I honestly think I don't even use this one for like guests anymore, because the other ones that I have are honestly better. Like it sounds more crisp. If you compare Life of the Germ now to like the guest episodes, like I think I like those mics more, but I just like this one because it's very easy to use. I don't have to like the other ones I have to like mount to my desk or something, and I'm just like not really trying to do that for Life of the Germ. This makes it really easy. But basically we do have video in working action. It's been long awaited. It has. I've been hyping this up for months, so I'm hoping it turns out, but if not, like it's whatever. We'll eventually get around to it. But yeah, I mean, this is my room. I'm being very I feel like maybe I should have like dialed up the place a little bit, put some like, maybe we can like put some stuffed animals in the background here. Like this is gonna suck if there's no video, because like you can hear what I'm doing but you can't actually see it. But like we'll get some like you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know if you can even see that. See, the thing is that I can't see the background because it's facing away from me. So, like, hopefully you can see that. That's my boy Drib, my favorite stuffed animal since I was, like, a little kid. Me and Drib go way back. I shout out my dad, I think. I think my dad put me on that name. Drib is just bird spelled backwards. Very, very very uncreative, but that's like that, not the uncreativeness, but this is like a very typical dad name, I feel like, where you just like put a little spin on the like OG name or something. I don't know. I my brain is like all over the place right now. Like I can't really get over this. Like this is crazy. But yeah, essentially, welcome back to Life of the Germ. I'm happy to be here. I'm going to try to look at the camera as much as I can, but there's no guarantees. Like, it's kind of like, imagine I guess like you're the camera and I'm like holding a conversation with you. I guess that's what I'll try to like make it up. Um, but yeah, to give a little rundown of everything. Shout out if you watched the last episode because I was actually talking about how like good I felt on salmon, like after salmon, and I got that again this week. I just finished up eating some salmon and I felt good. I felt like I might just hop on. Also just had like a super good call with my sister. Shout out Jenna. I think that was probably more so why like I feel the way I do right now. But um, salmon, my sister, who knows? We'll leave that up to the audience to decide. But essentially, me and the homies, shout out Adam and Tony for the one time. We had him over to my place this weekend and we got to kind of just show him around the city, you know, get him to all these different hikes and whatnot. So what we ended up doing is Adam I think is much more into hiking than Tony is, but they both collectively like Adam knew going in, I think, what these were, but I don't think Tony did. But he quickly learned. This is the thing to do out in. I mean, if you're into hiking at all, like this is the thing to do when you're out in Colorado. Basically, you do these things called 14ers, which I've explained, but basically they're the tallest mountains in Colorado. There's like I think like 58 of them or something, and basically it's any mountain in the Rockies over 14,000 feet in elevation. And Denver sits about a mile high, so like 5,280. And like getting up to this is like over double. So you just can't breathe. You can't do anything. Like it's super hard. You got to take a lot of breaks while you're on the trail. But we ended up waking up at like, I think like 3:45 in the morning because you have to get up super early. And essentially what happens is like if you get up there after afternoon, right? The weather can become very unpredictable. So these basically you're already up so high. Like I might post this as a cover just because like this was kind of the highlight of this week. But you can see in the background in the cover probably that there's like you're up there with the clouds, right? And being so high means that not only are the mountains like they just like very unpredictable weather-wise, but you're so much closer to those clouds that if like something can just form very fast and the radar isn't very accurate, and basically you have a much higher chance of like getting struck by lightning or getting caught in like some severe storm. So the general rule of thumb is to like summit, so like get to the top of the mountain before noon. So to do that, it's like a 2.5 hour drive where we went. Shout out Mount Sherman for the one time. We drove like 2.5 hours. So we left my place at like 4 and drove out there. Ended up like summiting around like 10, I think. And it was just great. The boys handled it very well. Like we got up there and just like sat up there and just kind of took it all in for like an hour. I was super tired, obviously, because we woke up so early. I think I dozed off for like 20 minutes up top. Just such a vibe. Like I can't even explain. Like taking a nap on top of a 14er it's just electric. You just wake up and you're like, oh, I can see everything up here. It's so cool. But yeah, we did that. But the title of this episode, and this kind of, I think I was thinking about this lesson a little bit before. Before I got the title for it, but it's a very fitting title. Basically, there's this concept of, so the actual summit is you getting to the top, right? So like you scaling the mountain, getting to the top, but like on the way, sometimes these trails are deceiving because you go up and you're blocked, your field of vision is blocked from the actual view of the summit. So you think like the next hill up or the next like little cliff that you get up is at the actual summit, is like the real deal, right? And you get to the top and you realize only then can you see the real thing, which is tends to be like, you know, a lot more elevation and like a lot more hiking yet because you're just like so tired. Okay, well, GG, I guess. Having some technical difficulties with the camera already. I'm not really surprised, but it might be after 10 minutes it just shuts off, I guess, which that's going to be a little problematic. But basically what I was getting at is you get this false peak, right? And you get where you think you made it to the top, but you actually didn't, right? And I think this is kind of like an analogy for life in a lot of ways, because I guess you know, I've had a lot of these, particularly since I've moved out here to Denver, and it's kind of it takes you by surprise a little bit. I was talking to this with my mom, and like she kind of described it as like you're just kind of, you're sort of like going along, like minding your own business, like things are going according to plan. I think that's like the biggest thing, is like you're kind of just doing your own thing, stuck in your own world, like and then all of a sudden like something just happens, right? And it's not, it's A, not what you expected, and B, in this situation it's something that isn't exactly like the outcome you were looking for, like, and it's usually like not a good outcome, right? And as of late, the most recent example I've had is actually like related to the podcast. I had probably like the most like well-known person like to date on my podcast. Like I recorded it a couple weeks ago. I shouldn't say recorded though. Basically what happened was like we set all this up. I had all my equipment. I brought it into her office, and basically I don't know what, like I think it kind of threw me off because you put headphones in to like test the audio, right? So I was putting my headphones in to test the audio, and like you can hear yourself talk in the headphones, right? And for some reason, like I immediately just started recording way ahead because I was like, I want to make sure that this is all like captured and I can just cut it out. Like it wasn't a big deal if I cut it. And basically, yeah, I did that, and like the headphones, I couldn't hear myself talk, and I couldn't figure out. I was like, I wanted to make sure the levels were good right before I started, so I was like, hello, hello. And then I finally took the headphones off and realized like the aux cord wasn't fully plugged in. But like in the process of doing that and kind of like messing with my tech a little bit, I like stopped it and I turned the audio box off that like records it. I turned it off, I turned it back on. And the dumb thing about this audio box that I really don't like is that you can still like hear yourself talking even if it's not recording. So I did all this, and turning it off stops the recording, obviously. And I turned it back on, and then I plugged it in, and I was like, oh, I can hear myself talk. And it was just, this was like a 10-minute issue, and I didn't like want to make the guest wait anymore. So I think I was just in a rush, and I like didn't even look to see if it was started or not. And we did like the full podcast, right? Like over an hour. And I looked down, and basically like if you don't press start, like all the little things in the box like just say like, instead of like, you know, counting up with the time that you've recorded, it's just like 9999999. And I was like, okay, I think this is a good place to stop. I look down and I see that, and I'm like, I mean, that's like the time I had slotted. Like I wasn't gonna redo the episode, like, because I'm not gonna make the guest speak about it again. Like it was just not like, I still went through and like got her on the guest book and everything, but like it was just like I told her, I was like, I think I just like had, you know, at the time I couldn't like say what it actually was, right? I was just so like out of it. I was just like really like frustrated, just kind of sad about it. And I was just like, yeah, it was like I genuinely think we had some technical difficulties, and like I'm pretty sure none of it recorded, and like she took it super well, but it was just like, it was a bummer, right? Like it was, I felt like, you know, just as I was starting to reach this point of like, I don't know, I don't want to say like household names, right? But just like bringing on people that like a lot of other people know, right? And like you guys wouldn't recognize the name, but like a lot of, you know, like other people, you know, I don't know how to describe it, but basically like it wouldn't have just been my like friends tuning in, right? It would have been like other people because they were genuinely interested in what this person had to say, because like in the field I'm in, she like greatly revolutionized the field, right? And like I ended up like recording no audio like at all. And it was just, and this is all that to say, this is the concept of the false peak. Because I think in this analogy, how I take it is kind of like you, there are these moments in your life where you kind of feel like you have it all figured out, right? You get into this sort of comfortable routine where you're doing the stuff you love, and your car is working, and you have friends, and like you're chasing after your passions, and like nothing's holding you back, right? And then stuff like this happens and you feel like, I think it's impossible not to like feel like, okay, maybe, you know, maybe this is holding me back a little bit. Like this was a hurdle, and like I have to get over this now, right? Like the fact that I had this guest on, and like I'm not going to ask her to come on again because I'm just, the conversation has been had, right? And I think I kind of walked away from it like, okay, the only way to really look at it is like that was meant for me, right? Like, and you can go on and complain about it, but you know, I went home and I journaled about the things I remembered from the conversation, and I took what I could from it, you know, and that's really why I started this to begin with, is right to, I throw these up here so in hopes that, you know, the audience can also gain some perspective as did I, you know, from the conversation. Like I'm also known for conversations like having them and not really remembering exactly what we talked about, right? Because I'm just so locked into the conversation, and I find something like the next thing I want to say like connects and builds on their point, and I don't really like, I'm just in the moment, right? And you know, I don't know what this, it's taken me down such a, not to get like too introspective about the pod, but it's taken me on such a like a crazy journey where I've been fortunate enough to have all these different sort of one-on-one conversations, which are my favorite. And it's allowed me to do that and not just wait for them to come up in organic settings, like around the fire pit or something. Like this is, all these have happened because I, you know, set it up, and it was a podcast and it was official, you know? So I just took with it what I could, and that's all I could do. But I think that's kind of, I think the lesson with these false peaks is, right, you're going to go on thinking everything's all right, and there's not any barriers to what you want to do, right? And you can, whatever idea you have, whatever you want to do, like it's yours, right? But then there's other times where majority of your life I think goes like that, and then every once in a while you get these moments where, you know, like me, like early on, like I totaled my car, or like, you know, this episode that was like so special to me, and to like, I think a lot of other people really would have like loved to listen to this, you know, and it just felt like it just didn't work out, like it just didn't happen. And I think the true testament is seeing how do you bounce back from that, right? Are you just gonna sit there and cry about it? Or are you gonna pick up the pieces, and maybe you're sad about it for a little while, but you move on, right? And you take it as more of like a learning experience than, oh, hey, like I you know, I thought I was on the top of the world. I thought I was on this 14er, but in reality, I'm just on this, you know, the second tallest part of the mountain, you know, and it's it's so funny because like I think as you continue to develop this analogy, right? Like the second no one actually the second tallest part of the mountain is no one's journey, right? No one wants, like, no one's a lot of people don't even stop at the second tallest part of the mountain, right? This false peak, like it's not even seen as beautiful to a lot of people, I think, but in reality it's you can basically see just as much, almost as much as you can on top of the mountain, right? And I think it's the same for life, right? Like I think I was talking to Tony and Adam about this, but I've been taking up photography a little more, and really what I've really tried to cultivate is just taking pictures of things that anyone can take pictures of, right? But people just don't, because it so often just gets overlooked as not appealing to the eye, and it's the same as this. It really is, and this is like, I didn't even come on here like thinking I'd make this connection, but when you in these moments of obtaining these false peaks, right, where you forget to the record, or your car gets totaled. They're just these terrible things, kind of building off these the last episode where like sometimes you do get these kind of catastrophic events and they just happen, like, and you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but in a way those are beautiful, right? Like I know that sounds wild, but if handled properly, it can really lead to a tremendous amount of growth that I don't know if you would get if those things didn't happen, right? And it's truly a test of, I don't think it crossed my mind, but like sometimes when it's so bad, you get to this point of like, you're like, do I want to keep doing this? Is this really for me? And I don't think those thoughts are bad. I think it's important to like reflect on that and make sure you're still in tune with something as much as you were, when you first like came into contact with it. And this stupid camera just stopped again, but I'm just gonna keep ripping it. Kind of an abrupt like stoppage point, but honestly, I think a good place to like end the wisdom of the week, and yeah, just wrapping it up. Like when you're hit with these false peaks, and you will be hit with it, and realize how truly naive you are to the world, because you really thought you had it all figured out, and these ones are reminders that you never do, right? Like, how are you gonna handle those things, right? Are you gonna let them kind of lurk in the background and just kind of like mess up your day, allow yourself to have the whole week be ruined? Or are you gonna keep moving forward and learn something from them and continue to, strive to do your best and chase after what you love, and I think that's really the coolest part about life, is kind of chasing after those things you love, and kind of just running with them, and trying to hold on and just like experience all these, these different emotions, these different moments that you may have in your life. And I don't know, yeah, clinging to your life and trying to have a good time, and with that, I think that's all I got for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I didn't make a ton of eye contact with the camera. This will definitely be a work in progress, just like the podcast. Like if you go back to the first few episodes, like it's the same way. Like the audio is terrible. I think the video quality, if I actually get it uploaded, is going to be like, this camera is fairly decent, but there's going to be some weird cuts where I don't know, apparently this camera just stops recording after like 10 minutes. But we're going to get there. And even if this becomes a false peak, best believe, like, we're not going to let it define us. We're going to keep moving on and keep getting up to the top of that 14er. You know what I'm saying? So hope you guys enjoy the rest of the episode, and I'll catch you in the next one.